And then Leah, who sees her, she's 13 now, so she thinks she's 30.
Good evening, everyone. Can we stand to salute the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So before we get started, I'd just like to hold a moment of silence for Council President Gentino, who lost suddenly last Tuesday. Thank you. Before I move on, I'd just like to say a few words concerning this. Jen Gentino was known to many as the beloved City Council President, but was so much more. She was a dedicated wife, a devoted mother to 3 sons, and a tireless advocate for the people she served. Council President Gentino tragically passed away suddenly on November 5th, leaving the Hoboken community in shock and in mourning. Gentino's impact extended far beyond her role as council president. She was a respected leader who worked relentlessly to improve the lives of Hoboken residents, particularly within her ward and also at the HHA. Her commitment to public service and her ability to champion local causes with passion and integrity left a lasting imprint on the community. Jen quietly accomplished so much for so many, always putting others first and tirelessly working to make Hoboken a better place. Her untimely passing has left a void in Hoboken's leadership, and many will remember her for her unwavering dedication and strong connection to the people she served. Council President Gentino exemplified the kind of leader this community can aspire to be. Her loss is deeply felt not only within the city, but particularly at the HHA, where her legacy will continue. As the HHA mourns her passing, we are reminded that we now have 2 angels watching over us, Commissioner Lewitt and Council President Gentino. She will be missed by so many. I'd just like to remind everyone that if you have signed up to speak, you have 5 minutes. I ask you to please be respectful of the administration as well as the commissioners. Can I have I'm sorry, roll call director.
Roll call. David Edwards.
Present.
Anthony Forbes. Here. Barbara Reyes.
Here.
Jean Rodriguez.
Here.
Michael Russo.
Present.
James Sanford.
Present.
Erica Seitzman.
Here. Thank you. Before we start, I'd just like to read the board information. Please be advised that the regular November's board meeting has been scheduled for Thursday, November 14, 2024 at 7 p.m. The meeting will be held in the community room at 220 Jackson Street, Hoboken, New Jersey.
It's the next one, Madam Chair.
I'm like, this is not the one There it is. Got it. I would like to advise those present that notice of this regular board meeting of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken has been provided to the public in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice of this meeting, Thursday, November 14, 2024, was given by publication of the annual meeting notice of the authority with amendments as necessary. Was sent to the Jersey Journal and Star Ledger on Tuesday, November 5th, and was sent to the City Clerk of Hoboken on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, with a copy of the agenda to be posted on the bulletin board in City Hall, Hoboken Library, and Hoboken Police Department, and posted on the Authority website on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. I direct the minutes of this meeting to state that I have announced the adequate notice of this meeting has been given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act. Luz Marrero.
Luz Marrero, Luzmarrero. I'm a resident from here, from 221 Jackson Street, but I'm not coming as a resident. I'm coming up as a member of the RAB board or the tenant association, whichever you prefer. But I know that we can exchange words back and forth, so I'm just gonna say what I'm gonna say, and maybe we could come down with a solution. I made some comments onto some of the members here, and I just wanted to know, are we bound by the restaurants of Hoboken only to where we get our food from or catered from, or can we go outside? Because the people from here, from Hoboken, are killing us with the you know, they're really killing us with the prices. And I also wanted to know if we could go back to doing the meals in 411 also, because this place gets full of all the other people from out there. I don't know who started that, but everybody from out there comes in here. And this is supposed to be the meal for here, for this housing authority, for this building. Everybody comes. We have people coming in here with Tupperwares to take food home. And then people from outside that don't even live in housing authority come in here to eat. So then I'm stuck with the Spanish people coming up to me and telling me, oh, I came a little late because I was in the doctor's and there was no food at all. So, and I said, okay, what can I tell you? You should have came a little bit earlier or send your homemaker or do something about it. But I was, back in the day, we used to do it for everyone on those buildings. We used to do it in 411 when Carmelo was here. I mean, no shade to you. But when Carmelo was here, we used to do for the seniors at 411. Can we go back to that? Because this is being ridiculous in here. Thank you.
Sandra Smith.
Could you just spell your name for me? Sandra Smith, Smith. Hello, everyone. My concern is, like I said, well, housing, work orders, that's one. And we had to get a little bit better. Because residents come in here, they talk about, you send the guys to come to your house to do the work. The next day, they're supposed to come back. They don't come back the next day. They come the following day and leave everything open. And they go somewhere else. So if you're doing a job, you should stay here, come the next day, finish what you have to do. Then I can go, because we have to change doctor's appointments or do errands or whatever. So it should be finished. We pay our rent, we do what we have to do. So you do the same thing too as well. And another thing, like I said, we do the best that we can, as a tenant association, as a tenant too, in this building. And chairs and tables, some of them be missing. We barely have chairs. Where we started off with 100 chairs, now we got 35 black chairs and we got beige chairs. So where the chairs and tables went, one of the tables, the round ones, Sammy did fix it, but it's broke again. So we just deal with the chairs and tables that we got. And like I said, it's a problem. It's not a problem because we don't turn nobody down with a meal, but the idea is we got to get a little bit better than what it is. That's it. Good night.
Your water sample. Oh.
Pat Meters.
No, I think she went upstairs. I think she went upstairs. She went upstairs for to Manning's house.
Denise Scott.
Good evening, everyone. Denise, D-N-I-C, Scott, S-C-O-T-T. Hi. I'm just here to find out, what's going on with the rules of getting transfers. My daughter, she has my granddaughter living with her, has a child, and you guys said, whoever said, that you can't split up families, and I want to know what's the situation with that. What you mean you can't split up families? you're supposed to take care of the inside before you take care of the outside. And I wanted to know the situation on that.
I would advise asking for an intake with me. Come down to the office and we'll sit. And we'll go through all the rules.
Okay, we'll see tomorrow. Okay, I'll be there tomorrow. Okay.
Leanna Diaz?
Did you spell your name for me? No. Hi, just spell your name for me. Leanna. Diaz is D-I-A-Z. I just want to pass this around. I've been fighting this since, Mr. Yucca?
You know, she's going to take it. I'll open that sucker up and give it to everybody.
Since the summertime, I've been trying to get some work done on my apartment. I have mold, I have a doctor's note. I went in there in September 25th to bring a doctor's note, and I told them to make sure to make a report. Instead, they made a report already. They say that I went in there and I was cursing at them, and I was yelling at them, which never happened. It never happened. Okay, the only one that I spoke to that day was Jade. Then I spoke to Sammy on the 29th, which was a Sunday, and we spoke outside in the hallway, and that was it. And he told me that it wasn't gonna get done until December, maybe January. Now, I have several immune deficiencies, and I also have a doctor's note that I brought in, okay? Because I cannot live with mold. There's a lot of mold inside my apartment. There's roaches. They're supposed to close some holes that they said behind my sink, okay? Because the roaches seem to be coming up through the wall, and that hasn't been done either. They keep like skipping me. They just skip me. I've been here 15 years and I keep going through this, and I don't know why. I've been here for 15 years. There's no need for this. I don't think that I should have to come here, you know what I'm saying, and explain to you guys what's going on and what they're doing. You know, they should know their job and go accordingly to the complaints that come along. I also spoke to Jolanda. She put in the report. They didn't care. So that the other one, Deborah, she put the report in. They totally ignored it. So now my mold, my bathtub, everything. I like to take sometimes hot baths because I have lupus, as you can see in my hand. Right now I'm swollen. And I like to sit in the tub because it helps me with my pain. It eases me a lot. And I can't do that because my bathtub is all full of mold. Okay? And I don't think this is fair that anyone has to go through something like this. So whoever wrote this report on me, they're lying. They're lying. Because none of that happened. You know, and that's what really bothers me. It's like, I think it's retaliation because of the last time that I was here, okay? And I let you guys know of what was going on with them. You know, they just don't plain like me. That's what it's all about. And I don't care if they like me or not, because that's not what they're here for. They're here to do a job, and they're not doing it. Okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
There's somebody there tomorrow.
Thank you.
Adrian Molden?
No. Just spell that.
ADRIENNA I've sent several emails regarding the Resident Advisory Board, Tenants Association, have yet to receive a response. I was told by Lourdes when I stopped her at ShopRite, when are the finalizations coming through or results? She said that the RAB board had to, first somebody had to go through the signatures, and then the RAB board would decide who would be appointed. I thought that was done by someone else. But it shouldn't take this long to make a decision. You requested that it be put in By November 1st, it was put in and still waiting on an answer 2 weeks later. Also, last year when I did my lease, there was a discrepancy on my pay stubs and my information, so I requested to have it done with my income tax forms. I have no problem with that. The form that I submitted with my son's information, who doesn't get a weekly pay stub or a bi-weekly pay stub. He's in real estate, he does not receive that type of documentation. So he brought a letter in, that was fine last year. This year we did the same thing. Submitted the pay stubs, submitted the letter. Now I'm being told by management, we have to wait for Derek's income tax forms in order to do my lease. Why was it okay this past year with a letter and not this year? You know, I submitted all the required documents that were supposed to be submitted. My 4 pay stubs, Chris's 4 pay stubs, Derek's letter. Now I have to wait until January to get this done, once his forms come in. I don't see why it's good for 1 year and not the next. Reason why my taxes were used last year, because I found a discrepancy in the paperwork that I submitted for myself. So if your staff can't get it together and be consistent every year, then something's wrong. And that doesn't make them look good, any good. I've done their calculations the way that it was shown to me during a meeting with Frank and with Maria. I've done the calculations, I've done the work. So I don't understand why it couldn't be done the same way. Also, my sister needs someone to go upstairs tomorrow to check the radiator. Apparently it's giving off heat and it's on the off position. She asked me to say something with that. So that needs to be taken care of as well.
I'm sorry, is Patricia Waiters back?
No, not yet.
Well, she was the last person on the list, so motion to close public portion.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Director, you can move on with the executive.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I certainly can't say it any better than you did, because the beginning of our report mentioned the sadness and the shock that we all feel at the passing of our wonderful friend and colleague, Jen Giattino. She was, and I'll say this again, she was a special friend of ours. She communicated with me often. She was a supporter of ours, and she will certainly be sorely missed. Moving on. Voting on November 5th went well at our community rooms. We were glad to serve. On October 29th, the City of Hoboken and HHA hosted a delegation from Australia to discuss housing in our two countries, and specifically for us at HHA to review and educate the Australian team about our redevelopment plan. The meeting was well attended by the leaders of the Newark HUD office as well. I gave the group, and I think they were very appreciative of us doing this. I gave the group a review of our redevelopment plan and performed an extensive tour of our sites. We walked and walked. It was an interesting afternoon as we exchanged views and compared housing policies between our two countries. It was a great afternoon. And I include a picture for you of our happy group that was there that afternoon. Our systems for housing are in some ways remarkably the same, and in some ways remarkably different. And you know, different types of countries, different things they do. They have national waiting lists rather than local waiting lists. So when you go up for an apartment, you might wind up in another town. Some interesting stuff that we talked and we thought we connected well. We have submitted an application to HUD to be funded from the Family Self-Sufficiency Program. The 10 Reasons Drop-In Center at 311 Community Room continues to grow in a successful manner. I did hold meet and greets at all of our sites this past month with good success. Staffing, I am very close to finalizing our reorganization in the light of new hiring and prep for 2025 during November. I've made some offers on key positions, and we should have them finalized before Thanksgiving. So I think at the next meeting, we're going to be doing some introductions and some changes that I think you will like. We are continuing to work with the enterprise partner team to reorganize and make sure we're ready as we go into 2025. The following positions are officially still open: Public Relations and Policy, Resident Services Coordinator, a Development Director, and an Accounting Clerk. I expect that we will celebrate the coming holiday season with some new staff and our reorganization for the coming year. We must remember that our redevelopment is a step-by-step process. On our redevelopment plans, the foundation is often the most important part of the building, and we are really laying that foundation now. We're going to have a good step today, I hope. On October 22nd, Chairman Reyes and I received a New Jersey Future Smart Growth Award for 2024 on behalf of HHA. And it was truly an honor to receive it, recognizing excellence in planning throughout the New Jersey. And we got a little tiny video for you.
Housing is a fundamental human right. Prioritization of affordable housing where people can live and feel like they have a future is so important for a vibrant community, and it really applies to any community. There are two overarching goals. One is the basic redevelopment of the housing authority so that the conditions are humane, people can live there in comfort and not really be worried about the status of a fundamental human right. I also see racial segregation through housing, and we want to eliminate that. We want to make sure that we have an integrated community, make sure that there's not a tale of two cities, of one Hoboken that's impoverished and another Hoboken that's not.
Many of those in my community feel that way, that we are the forgotten part of the town. And I think with this redevelopment and the city being on board, it's a commitment to us to make us feel integrated into the city. And this project was not to have anyone displaced. It's just that it's needed. Unfortunately, there's no way for us to fully fix the buildings. Many of those apartments are full of mold, elevators that don't work. The buildings are over 50 to 70 years old. Unless it's a whole redevelopment, there's absolutely no way that you can fix all the problems that we incur on a daily basis.
I think if you look at an aerial of the city of Hoboken, the housing authority stands out because it's not connected to the street grid, it's not connected to the larger fabric of the city of Hoboken. I look forward to that day being a thing of the past.
Once you get to 3rd and Jackson, the streets stop, and then it's the housing authority. There's no throughway all the way to the light rail, and that's going to change.
The redevelopment plan proposes a resiliency park alongside the Palisades. Mama Johnson Field would remain in place as an active recreational space. There's also minimum open space requirements for each redevelopment parcel by way of rooftop spaces and amenity decks. That furthers our climate goals.
We wanted to make sure that the residents led this process. Their concerns was something that we really placed first on the table. Hopefully we built some measure of trust with the residents that this is going to be their project to make life better, living conditions better for the residents of our housing authority. And it's time. We need to do this now. Like Frank Sinatra once said, here in Hoboken, the best is yet to come.
Barbara, great work. Great work. While I am proud to have that shown in the company of people from all over New Jersey that are professionals in this, that recognized all the residents' hard work over the past 3 years. in partnership with the city to date. I remind everyone that this is just the beginning. This is just the foundation, right? A plan is a plan. It's not the final outcome. Our efforts to build a strong and lasting future for assisted housing in Hoboken must continue. That plan as a roadmap is essential while starting a journey, but we know there will be challenges as we travel down this road to providing the best assisted housing in New Jersey, and we must stay committed and we must stay together as we go down this road. Staff, residents, city, politicians, commissioners, and I think we've been very successful in that so far, and we are committed to making that happen. There is a resolution before you tonight to approve our start down that road, and we can start down that road making our vision a reality in earnest. On the redevelopment front, some of the workings in the background, the city is proceeding with their environmental review, known as Part 58, which is kind of a baseline before we can move on to the actual work. The Developer Selection Committee has made its recommendation of a development partner to the board, and it is in front of this board in the form of a resolution tonight. The committee, under the leadership of their chair, Frank Merchant, is to be commended for their hard work and due diligence in selecting an excellent partner, and I trust that the board will be successful in approving that firm tonight. I suggest that we have a further in-depth discussion of that as our resolution comes up a little later in the meeting. We'll be able to get into the nitty-gritty a little more. We are continuing regular meetings with the Enterprise, HUD, and HHA team. Our contract with our consultant for future capital needs is in process. We have reviewed it. We've gotten back to them with some things we didn't like, and they're revising a few things in that plan. We're beginning our work on projecting our project management needs and repositioning into 2025 and beyond. We have received a response on both the VASH and single-room occupancy project-based vouchers. We've held a successful meeting over the last couple of weeks with the New Jersey Veterans Administration, along with that group, on getting their management plan together before we can go ahead and approve. Those projects also need a Part 58 before they can move forward. So we're kind of officially waiting for those Part 58s to get done on both of those projects, just as we're doing on our redevelopment plan. Once those issues are addressed, they'll be brought to the committee and to the board. I continue to meet with residents, and I encourage you, when you've got some of the problems, that you come with us, talk to us, come and meet with me. We'll work on those with you. We always will, if you've got problems in your units. Housing for Hoboken did not meet this month. We continue to accept applications for trustees. Our special capital project, the defensible space fencing, is in the submittal and permitting process. That's the fencing at Andrew Jackson behind the buildings that goes around the horseshoe. The Harrison Courtyard project is in the contract phase. If you go over there and take a look, we're working over there. It's happening. We're really glad to see that. I put in here the Adams Gardens generator. I should have put the Christopher Columbus Gardens generator. Sorry. Replacement is complete. We are, as I wrote this last night, we are waiting for a date for PSG to increase the gas pressure for the emergency generators. They showed up today. They must have been listening to us. So we've been waiting for PSG to come out and put a different type of gas line from the street into our emergency generator. Yay, they finally showed up. So they're doing work on that now. So hopefully we'll be done soon there. The work on the Monroe boiler replacement is complete. There's a couple of small punch list items to be done, but we've got a new boiler that's ready here to give the backup. New water heater is being installed at Fox Hill. That's actually in front of you tonight as well. As part of the special allocation of capital funding in the amount of $3.5 million for use only at Harrison Gardens, the security camera installation on each floor, rooftop, outside is under construction. Hallway and stairwell refurbishment is underway, essentially done, waiting on delivery of stair treads to finish that project. Exterior door replacement is also getting final approvals. We are waiting on CDBG funding that the city has committed to us for this year, which are Mama Johnson Field renovations and security upgrades for the horseshoe, lighting, playground resurfacing, and rodent-resistant trash receptacles. We're just waiting for the city to give us the green light on the CDBG funding. I should mention that we are starting to work on the plot of land kind of right behind me here at Monroe to turn that into an Aaron Lewitt Memorial Garden. We've started the resurfacing of that ground, and we've put some planting boxes there already. So we're moving along on that. On the management report, a lot has been happening in the management department this month. Management staff has been consumed with non-payment eviction issues and repayment agreements. Mr. Merchant will brief us on the actions at the court with Attorney Fitzpatrick and subsequent court order repayment agreements and court actions. So this might be a good time to turn it over to Mr. Frank to give us an overview.
Thank you, everybody. Good evening. As the director mentioned, a lot of what we've been working on for quite some time as a board and as a housing authority, things that can't happen overnight have come to a head at this board meeting tonight because we've been waiting to get to court. It wasn't easy post-COVID. We needed to make sure that, number one, we offered as many opportunities to our residents to try to do in-house repayment agreements. And I want to start with that because I do want to thank all the families who did enter into repayment agreements with us without having to go to court. And that right now is $650,000 that we have in repayment agreements. And those repayment agreements symbolize us working with a family and a family working with us without having to go to court and without having to take the next step, which unfortunately the next step is something that is critical to a family because, as we understand, there's nothing more important than the roof over our head. So the next category of families were the families that we went to court with that did not show up. So the default families, right? There was a large number of families who did not show up to court, unfortunately. Those families will, in the very short future, there's going to be the sheriff's office is going to come, and unfortunately we are going to start the eviction process. The warrants for removal have been submitted, and that process will be probably in the next couple of weeks. Not that there's ever a good time to do this, but it's just even harder because it's the holiday season. So please, anyone who's going through this, our heart is with you. We've tried so hard to reach you, and if there's anything that the city or anyone or any services that can happen at this point, we'd be more than happy to connect you with them, but we've taken it as far as we can as a housing authority. So what that leaves us with is the fact that now we have $1.1 million in repayment agreements. That is significant, mostly because what that means is that we've stopped the bleeding. So the first thing you have to do is you have to stop digging if you're in a hole, right? So our first step was to stop digging. So by having repayment agreements, families can get caught up little by little. There is no interest. So at least that puts them in good standing. And now we're collecting money plus we're collecting rent. So that's a double whammy. So that right now, obviously, if you go down to the tenant accounts receivable, it's scandalous. It's a number so large that it's even hard to imagine that housing authorities have to deal with this at this moment, and it's not just us, it's across the country. But that $1.3 million that you're seeing there will be reduced by the number next month of all the families that either defaulted, and then a lot of it will come off of tenant accounts receivable and be added to the court order repayments. So we are at least moving in the right direction. It's going to get harder before it gets easier because as we go through this process, there's going to be a lot of pain. A lot of families who never maybe thought the day would come and who, they tried their best to stay there and maybe just, we all know we've been in a situation where, there wasn't anyone else to ask and there was nobody else to go to, and unfortunately we are there. So please know that there is no joy in our hearts to have to go through this, and we wish that for the families that are still with us, that you please use this as something so that you understand. And if you can speak to the families that did go to court with us and know that when we're in court, our goal is to enter into an agreement with you, even in court. Just please show up to court. You show up to court, we can at least try something there, right? If you don't show up to court, it's a default. So, but that's the bad news. Let's go to the top of the page. And please, everyone, the entire staff, we hit 98. So I really, I can't express how hard that road was. It was 4 years of every single staff member doing everything they can to get us to this point. And it takes everyone from every department pulling together so that we can get to this. And as of today, we have 18 vacant units, right? 10 of which are finished and ready to be occupied in the next few days. So we're down to 8 units. While that is a beautiful, beautiful thing that we've achieved, it also makes it very difficult for families that need transfers, right? It makes it difficult for families who have emergencies and special needs. So as we go through this, please understand that we can only help you with what we have, and we will if we can, right? And as the director says at meeting after meeting after meeting, please have an intake. Unless we sit together and we have the right people in the room to make the right decision together, we can't give you the final answer, right? And obviously, we don't want to take the director's time and have to sit with them each time. And that is why your managers are trying their best to maybe discourage, not discourage, but to resolve your issue prior to coming into the intake. So continue to work with your managers and allow them the ability to serve you. At every point, what makes it so hard here is when we get out of the wheel that works. When someone calls the director directly and didn't call the manager first, and then maybe if they didn't get the manager, called me in, and maybe we have to follow the line. That's the best way to serve everybody. For every time that you call out of line, it takes everyone else twice as long to help you, and then it actually starts to hurt the people that got in line. So we want to help you all. We want to solve every one of your issues. If we could, we would snap a finger and do it. Because everything comes down to time and money, obviously, the best we can do is prioritize and find a way to get the most egregious things taken care of every day. And we know that we leave things on the plate every day. And yes, I'm sorry to those who maybe we didn't get back to you the second day right away. And that is something that we have to get better at, is the follow-up. So we will continue to get better at the follow-up. But all these things that we're doing and everything that we're doing is really just pointing back to the redevelopment and what we need to do. And we understand that the real way out of the troubles that we have as a housing authority is our environment and the conditions that we're in, not our residents. It's the buildings and the systems and the mechanics of how the pipes and how everything is working, right? So what we've been working really hard on is this redevelopment, and with, as you saw, I get goosebumps every time I see that video. I mean, it looks fantastic. It's hard to believe that we have to knock that down, because looking at it, and when we have people coming from other places like Australia, and they say, wow, these buildings look great. I can't believe they have to come down. But it's because they also understand that it's what's inside the buildings, right? And how the systems are working and what we can't do with the buildings that we have now. So as far as my report goes, we are now out of an area that I know, we are getting commended now by HUD, and HUD is, so grateful that we've partnered with them and that they're ready to help us, because I know that now we reached 98, but here come the evictions, right? So they're going to work with us, and they're going to allow us to work some units offline, so it doesn't hurt our numbers, and we can continue to show what we worked here, and then we're going to turn those units around real quick. But I'd like to give Matt, please, the opportunity, if you have something to say about the court process or whatever you have on your mind.
I appreciate it, Frank. I just wanted to add one thing. It's a little bit for the commissioners, just because I think it's important for them to know. You kind of hit on it, but more so for the public. Of the cases that were filed and went to court this month, there's still a few that the Housing Authority is working with the tenants trying to figure out a resolution. But 29 of them had some form of resolution. The 17 tenants who showed up, the Housing Authority entered into an agreement with each and every one of them. There wasn't a single person who showed up who the Housing Authority refused to enter an agreement with. The other 12 who did not show up, the Housing Authority has requested warrants of removal. So just to emphasize, If you are put on for court, if you know someone who's put on for court, ask them to come in, ask them to sit down and meet with the authority. They are more than willing to try and work something out whenever they can. So I just want to emphasize that. Just because someone is in court doesn't mean that's the end of the line. Please encourage anyone you know who gets court papers to come meet with their manager, meet with Frank, and to show up in court. And more than likely, the authority is willing to work with you.
That's it on my end.
Thank you.
But thank you.
And good work by maintenance and management. That's a major accomplishment. We are working on a revamp of our parking system throughout our development. Some of you will notice throughout our family developments, we have numbers all over the place now. We're going to be assigning parking spots to people that are registered for parking. If anyone has an issue with a handicap parking spot or something that's not getting done, please come and see your manager or Frank or I, and we'll make sure that gets worked out for you. We are working on a proposal to look at outsourcing some of our recertification procedures, and once we have that perfected, we'll come and do a presentation on that. On maintenance, I did include our usual plumbing, elevator, and maintenance contract reports and extermination reports to show that they're out there working hard. We continue to keep ourselves open for maintenance workers, full-time mechanics. We are asking that residents please call into your manager's office with any specific cleaning or repair. If you do not feel that you're getting the right service from your manager or for maintenance, feel free to drop me a note or call me. We'll shake some trees and make sure we make that happen for you. And I do believe that a number of you have seen that happen over and over again. The boiler crew continues to work on preventative maintenance, keeping our buildings warm. So far, so good. We had one glitch, which was 526 to 532 Jackson. Went down on the morning of November 13th, and by the end of the day, we were back up and running. And I really commend Greg and Louie back there that's being quiet on the boiler crew. They work feverishly, seriously, for a day to tear down a boiler, repair it, and put it back together by 4 o'clock that afternoon. As time allows, our maintenance crew has been making progress on painting and repairing lobby areas and stairwells. I included a list of the buildings that have been painted and completed by our staff so far, so we're doing well. And you're going to see us continue to come through on all the walk-ups and the 7 stories. We are working on 406 Marshall Drive and 410 Marshall now, and in addition, we're in the process of painting hallways at Adams Garden, starting at the top and coming on down. At Monroe here, we've done the community room as well. And of course, emergency and preventative repairs due to the age of our buildings. Finance is working on our professional procurement and finance budgets and professional services contracts. We do have our unaudited financial statements for fiscal year ending 9/30/24 going into HUD in the next couple weeks. Those are unaudited, and that is what the auditor will base his audit on in the coming year. So finance has been busy pulling all those numbers together. I think that our finance committees, under the leadership of their chair, Commissioner Edwards, I think has been coming quite a long way. And I don't know whether you want to talk about what we're doing there, but we've been busy.
We have been busy. I mean, a lot of what we're voting on tonight just comes out of that committee.
That's right.
I would say Emil and yourself and our fee accountant have done a great job on updating various forms, and
Thank you.
We're looking at a variety of things that it's probably better to wait until you've got the final product for you to look at. But there's a number of things coming down the pipeline.
Thank you. That banking experience that this guy brings has been invaluable to us and challenging, but invaluable. Because we know sometimes some of you commissioners get challenging. I don't know. Not mentioning any names.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, which is a good thing. I would like to pay special recognition to the HHA staff for filling in for the vacant resident services position, Daniel. You know, he left us right in the middle of the petitions, the election procedure, he's gone. And so we've had to all kind of pitch in. Special recognition for Lourdes, Becky Espinoza, have been going above and beyond to assure services to our residents and making things happen. I expect that position filled by the end of November and be back on our feet and running there. Regarding the elections of new officers for the tenant associations. And what happens is the tenant associations on the AMPs elect their president and vice president, and then those officers become part of the RAB board, which gets together for the whole housing authority. So the first step is for residents that want to run to do petitions. And they go through their building and they get petitions, and when they get X amount of petitions, those petitions are handed in. Okay? If, which has happened, there's no one else running except one person, that person automatically wins, because there's no competition. Okay? Now, on 2 of the developments, there are more than one person. Okay? So we've got those petitions in, and now our next step is to hold, if you will, runoff elections. Okay? And we are forming the last steps in those. We would think that somewhere mid-December, I don't know if we want to hold off till January or not, but to have those elections. On the holiday season, it's kind of tough, the timing wasn't great. And again, I do apologize a bit because with Daniel leaving us, it took a little bit to catch up. But we are going to go to the RAD board, make sure with our oversight that the elections are fair, that there's monitoring, that any election box worth of votes is watched all day, that we know who's voting and we know that they're qualified to vote. And any housing authority resident over 18 that lives on that particular development can vote for somebody on their development. Okay? So you'll see that coming, and that's really the answer to what Adrian brought up, is that we're almost there. It took us a little longer. Yeah, it's been a few weeks, but not bad. Okay. Thanksgiving lunch celebrations have been held at Adams and Monroe this week, and Fox Hill will be held tomorrow, Friday the 15th at noon over at Fox Hill. We do have that special RAB board meeting on the 19th at 1 o'clock here. I think it's going to be at Adams. Oh, it's going to be the 18th. That changed, didn't it?
The 18th.
Since last night. The 18th. Thank you. And that'll be over at Adams. That changed too. And one of the main topics there is we're going to make sure we have good auditable trail on the elections as we come up, that we have a clear written procedure and everyone's comfortable with that. Perhaps our biggest events of the year is coming up, folks, Winter Wonderland. So we've been having a number of meetings with the police departments and nonprofits on organizing that and making that happen. We're actively working with the RAB board, kind of led by Jolinda and Joe McDonald, the Hoboken Police Department, Hudson County, and a number of profits and nonprofits, hopefully to make this year the best yet. Contributions and participation are welcome. And there's one member here that's been awfully involved. Anything else, Erica, that I've missed? Because you've been really...
Yeah, we just want everybody to come out. If you have any suggestions, please let us know. We have an Amazon, family has an Amazon wish list, as well as some other suggestions. Or just please come and join us on December 14th, 4 to 7 in the courtyard.
I just got an email from Walmart today saying they wanted to participate. So it's growing. It's growing. So that is the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the...
Madam Chair, I have questions for the director. Director Recco, as per your previous guidance. Can I speak to Mr. Merchant?
No, I would ask you to appoint them at me.
Okay. So I'm referring to your report regarding the resolution to select a redeveloper. And the second page of Mr. Merchant's recommendation, official recommendation to this board, reads at the top, "Please do not hesitate to reach out if you need further information regarding the selection process or the recommended developer." Is that an accurate reading of the official recommendation to the board?
Maybe, but I thought we were going to talk about that when the resolution came up.
Well,
are we jumping over to
we're
the
not
resolution?
jumping over it. This is your
So
report.
what I would suggest, excuse me, gentlemen, what I would suggest is if this relates to the actual resolution, let's just answer that during the resolution. It makes no sense because I'm pretty sure that when we get to the resolution, there's going to be a lot more questions that may be asked, so let's ask them all at the appropriate time.
Madam Chair, unfortunately at this time, I must ask you to relinquish your gavel to the Vice Chair. You are, to the best of my knowledge, under investigation, and it would be inappropriate for you to continue operating the meetings and protecting the chair, the director.
I would just like to put on the record that if you continue to defame me, I have no problem taking legal action. I am not under any type of investigation to my knowledge. So unless you have information that you can provide to me, then I suggest you no longer speak on it, and I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Madam
And I
Chair.
will not relinquish my seat unless I have to.
Madam,
Thank you.
I'm not asking you to relinquish your
Moving
seat.
forward,
Madam Chair, I'm not asking you to relinquish
moving
your seat.
forward,
We're
Commissioner
not-
Sanford.
Madam Chair.
I think you've
Madam
made
Chair.
your point.
I have not made my point.
I think that what we were speaking on was your questions to the director's report, so if you can continue with that.
I'll
Thank
continue
you very
with the
much.
report.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Director, my previous question, was that an accurate reading of the official recommendation?
I'll have to go back to, it's part of the resolution.
Okay. Can I
So I'll have to
ask
go back
the
to the
person who
resolution.
wrote this directly, Mr. Merchant?
No, I asked you to have the,
Okay, then we're going in circles here.
Okay, so
We
we
are.
answered the question,
So-
so we move on to
Like
the
I
next
said,
question.
once we
this
get
is-
to the resolution and that.
Madam Chair,
that's
if
part
I
of the
may
resolution.
make a point of clarification, that letter is directed directly to Mr. Recco. It's not directed to the Board of Commissioners, so when Mr. Merchant made the comment to not hesitate to reach out, I believe he was speaking to the director.
That is,
Thank you.
that is an asinine reading. The entire purpose
Dear
of the
Director
the
Recco.
entire purpose of the recommendation is a recommendation to the board.
It's addressed to Director Recco.
The entire
Not
purpose of the
commissioners.
recommendation, the entire purpose of the
Thank
recommendation.
you, appreciate it.
The recommendation
Thank
to the
you.
board. Director
Thank
Recco, earlier yesterday, I requested information regarding this redevelopment process. To my knowledge, you have not responded to that email requesting information at all.
Correct.
Why?
I have 14 business days to respond.
So you have 14 business days to
Correct.
respond.
14.
Okay. When did this redevelopment recommendation come to the availability of the board? When was it sent?
I believe it was sent Friday.
Friday.
Friday, which is the time that we usually send out.
Okay. How many days ago was
Can he
that?
just finish, which is the time we usually send out?
Yeah, we usually send out our board packages on Friday. And
How many days
you
ago
were-
was that?
You were saying that we were late?
How many days ago was Friday?
Okay, let's all do this together, okay? Saturday, Sunday,
You don't count that, that's the
Monday,
weekends.
Tuesday.
You don't count the
We
weekends.
don't count the weekends. Let's start again.
Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. 3 days.
Or if you watch The Godfather, it was
Right.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday.
What's your point? What's your point?
Well, my point is that according to the recommendation and according to the amended procurement policy approved by this board, there are certain documents that are required for review by the full board before we can select a redeveloper. And if you are only going to give the information to this board and to this commissioner a mere 6 days, not even business days, 6 days before we're supposed to vote on, remind me again, I asked you at the last meeting, is this going to be a $1 project or a $1 billion project?
The amount of the project is not determined yet. And here we go getting into the resolution, but the amount of the project is not determined yet. We don't even have a developer partner. We don't have architectural drawings. We don't have any of that. We don't have financing plans, sir. None of that is set in stone yet. There is quite a long way to go before we can answer that question.
Can he, excuse me, I can't have you talking over.
Yeah.
He's got to finish and then you can talk.
Thank you for
So I
letting me
have,
finish.
there is quite a long way to go before we can answer.
Yeah, before we can answer those questions.
It's a great talking point. The purpose of this process that was approved by the board a year ago with the, I believe, the recommendation or the requirement of HUD is that we, as a board, have all of the information we need to vote on the selection of a redeveloper. And quite clearly, that information has not been provided to the board.
Well, I think quite clearly that this board approved the process of us first selecting a group of potential developers, and then approved the process of having a developer selection committee go with those that we approved ahead of time, put in specific proposals, and the developer selection committee was commissioned to go over in detail each of those proposals, write them, turn them inside out, and make a recommendation to this board. And that is the process that we followed. I would recommend that if you do believe that we've had a breach of policy, feel free to give that to us in writing and we'll take a look at it. I don't believe we have. I believe that we've followed the policy to the letter.
Thank you.
The procurement policy, item 28, page 24 of the procurement policy, documentation and required records. To the extent appropriate and reasonable under the circumstances, the authority will maintain records sufficient to detail the significant history of each procurement action. These records shall include, but shall not necessarily be limited to the following. 1. Rationale for the method of procurement. 2. Rationale of contract pricing arrangement. 3. Reason for accepting or rejecting the bids or offers. 4. Basis for the contract price as described in the handbook. 5. A copy of the contract documents awarded or issued and signed by the contracting officer. 6. Basis for contract modifications. And 7. Related contract administration actions.
First of all, everything on that list that's pertinent we have. Second of all, that's relating to bid projects.
Correct.
That's not related to professional procurement of the developer partner. You're comparing apples with oranges, Commissioner.
Thank you.
So if you already have the information, as you just said, why not give it to me?
I have.
You can request it, Commissioner.
Let me say
Sanford.
this. Let me be clear on this. Commissioner Sanford sent me an email at 10 o'clock yesterday, with 20 demands, right? You know, his demands ranged from having the selection committee here, to having the attorneys here from out of town, to having all of this information compiled before today's meeting. Impossible. I mean, la la land. You're just not going to be able to do that within 30 hours. We dealt with this around this table, that you have to give this administration sufficient time to look at the request and respond. And to give a request that is really impossible and give 20 hours to do it, while, by the way, we have a business to run. We don't just sit around twiddling our thumbs all day waiting for you to send some email 2 days before the board. We've got things to do. We've got meetings. May I finish? We've got meetings, we've got responsibilities, we've got a board package to do, we've got many things to do. And for you to have the arrogance to drop an email with 20 demands, not just requests, demands, within 30 hours is just unrealistic and unreasonable. That's just not doing business.
I would also like to remind all commissioners,
Allow me to educate.
excuse me, I would like to remind all commissioners that when you're requesting documents from the director, that he does have 14 days to answer, and that was a policy that was actually, I'm sorry, a policy that was approved by this board.
Thank you for that reminder, and that's exactly why this board, without my approval or vote, put that policy in place, is to prevent this commissioner and the board from asking reasonable questions in a timely manner.
I'm so sorry that you feel that way. There's plenty of commissioners. You are not the only commissioner on this board. There's a number of commissioners, and I'm pretty sure that when they have questions, they ask the director, they give him insufficient time to respond. And I don't think, or I personally have not heard of any other commissioner having any issues with submitting a request and getting the information within that time period. So I'm sorry that you feel that way, but the actual policy was not made for one commissioner. It was made for every single board member.
The board is being shortchanged. Now, to explain a little bit more context to the public, this
I'm sorry,
board.
Excuse me, is this
May I
related to
finish?
the?
I've been listening.
This is not public portion, Commissioner Sanford.
This is
This is not public portion. We are asking questions of the director's report.
Yes.
So any questions that you ask,
You keep
or
interrupting.
no, you're not. You're not asking questions. You're just saying things and that the director has so far answered. So what other questions pertaining to his report would you like to ask so we can move forward?
Director Gecko, one of the reasons why this board has acted the way it has acted.
Commissioner,
one of the
ask
reasons.
This is not the question.
We don't need testimony.
If not, I will, if you don't have any further questions to ask regarding the commissioner's report, I ask that this board moves forward with the resolution.
Director Recco, why did this board take action to remove this commissioner from the board?
You have to ask the board.
Okay.
Madam Chair, can we please move on? I mean, this is.
This pertains nothing again to the public. This again pertains absolutely nothing to the actual agenda or director's report.
Director Recco, why did this board act to remove me from this board?
The director has answered that question.
This commissioner from voting on this resolution.
No one's prevented you from voting.
You have your opportunity today, Commissioner Sanford, to actually call your vote. And if you don't feel comfortable, the only thing I can tell you is to not vote for it. Again, we are not here to force you to vote for or against. That is absolutely up to you. No one is not allowing you to vote.
Director Recco, a hearing was held to remove me from this board. One of the reasons to remove me from this board was to prevent me from accessing information on the selection of this
Chair, I have a
redevelopment.
question for the director.
Absolutely, Commissioner Sanford.
Director, I know we talked about doing that direct hire with the Labor Council in Hudson County. Knowing that we're still trying to get a lot of this stuff done, you alluded to some of the maintenance in your report. Where are we on that process?
Yes, we're dealing with a possible PLA with one of the unions on the redevelopment program, and then we're dealing with another union on our security pay system.
Okay.
I don't think we've gone anywhere else with the direct hire.
Okay.
So I think we need another get-together.
Yeah, let's do that, because
Let's do that.
I think it's imperative we get a lot of that stuff
I'd
done.
like to.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I'm up
That's all I have. Thank you.
Director Recco, that was a nice distraction. Back to my original
No,
question.
it's called doing
Back to my
business.
original
Doing
question.
business.
You answered my question saying.
Commissioner
you have
Sanford, I
information-
am going to respectfully ask you one more time to limit your questions to the director's report. The director's report stated nothing about what you're speaking about. You are making this a public matter, not anyone else on this board. With that being said, do you have any further questions regarding the director's report?
The director said multiple times in his report that the foundation for this redevelopment needs to be perfect.
That's not what he said. Is that what
What
you
did you
understood? Perfect? I don't think that anyone can make a perfect.
Oh, okay, not perfect.
Exactly.
Let me just go back and read it.
All right, while you're doing that, can we start on resolutions?
Yes, it would be.
I would appreciate it.
You're not the boss.
We can definitely start our resolution.
Madam Chair, we have
Resolution number 20,
You are under
24.
investigation, that's to my knowledge. You are preventing this.
Resolution number 2024-1101, resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to approve the meeting minutes for October 10, 2024 regular board meeting.
Motion.
Second. Madam Chair, it is inappropriate.
Director, questions, questions, concerns,
Please
Commissioner?
relinquish the gavel to the Vice Chair.
No.
Call the vote.
Okay.
David Edwards.
Yes.
Anthony Forbes.
Yes.
Barbara Reyes.
Yes.
Jean Rodriguez.
Yes.
Michael Russo.
Yes.
James Sanford.
No.
Erica Sykes.
Yes.
Resolution number 2024-1102, resolution authorizing payment of the monthly list of bills for the Hoboken Housing Authority.
Motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns? Director call the
Yes.
vote.
David Edwards.
Yes, I have questions.
Commissioner Sanford? May I please remind you to keep this according to the list of bills, please? Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to remove line item 29, page 1, Smart Growth Award Reception Dinner.
Reception dinner?
Yes.
Is there a motion?
No second.
There's no second. Motion fails.
I have some more questions.
Sir.
So, Director, you had said in your report, and also now here on the list of bills regarding the Smart Growth Award, who was in attendance at that dinner?
It was Barbara Reyes, myself, and Frank Merchant.
And
many, many people from all over the state.
Of course.
And the city.
And the city.
And who from the city?
Oh, I don't know the whole list. Probably the highlights of Chris Brown, the city planning director, Alyssa, one of their attorneys. Geez, I'm trying to remember.
The mayor would have that list.
Yeah, I'd have to think there's a number of people there from the city.
Now, at the prior October board meeting, I asked you questions about how and why the Hoboken Housing Authority received the Smart Growth Award. Do you recall my questions?
No.
Okay. One of those questions was how did we, one of those, I'm speaking, please let me finish.
Direct.
I am speaking, please let me finish.
Thank you, Commissioner Edwards.
Director Recco, one of those questions was how did the Housing Authority, how was the Housing Authority awarded this award? What was the criteria?
I don't know all of their criteria. They're a nonprofit organization that works on their own criteria. They claim that what their mission in New Jersey is to find excellence in planning and resiliency, the best plans that are coming to fruition in New Jersey. That's what they do. That's their mission.
And if I may intercede, I remember you also giving him, or I actually gave you the website for you to look on to find that information as well. Commissioner Edwards, you had something to say?
Yeah. Why all this conversation about a bill that's $225, Commissioner?
If you stop interrupting, we can get to that. So, Director, who from New Jersey Smart Growth Award gave you the award?
The organization.
It was
Who's the person?
Oh, it was their executive director. I can't remember his name. I don't know them very well.
And do you know who is on the awards committee that selects the people who receive the award?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Director, can we call the vote?
David Edwards?
Yes.
Anthony Forbes?
Yes.
Barbara Reyes?
Yes.
Jean Rodriguez?
Yes.
Michael Russo?
Aye.
James Sanford?
No.
Erica Sykes?
Yes.
Resolution number 2024-1103, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to make a contingent designation of a development partner for phase 1 of its repositioning of public housing.
Motion.
Second.
I would like to make a statement.
Sure, Director, you first.
Thank you. First, I would like to thank the committee, this board and the committee. The committee set up a very, very good process of having a selection committee appointed by me and then for that committee to come back and make a recommendation to this board. And I think they did an exemplary job. The folks on that committee were Emil, our CFO, Chris Brown, the Hoboken City Planning Director, April Harris, many of you know her as a religious and spiritual leader in our community, Dave Edwards, one of our commissioners, Jackie Medina, our maintenance supervisor, Joe McDonald from the Resident Advisory Board, a resident of Andrew Jackson, and Frank Merchant as the chair of that committee. Now, I don't think anywhere you could find a more talented, honest, well-rounded group of people to actually take a look at 4 proposals and have deep conversations about what would be best for the Housing Authority. I would be remiss if I didn't say that not only they, but there is an advisory group that helped that committee. And that was made of somebody from the HUD Enterprise Groups, a fellow named Mike Andrews, who is a financial expert in redevelopment of housing. He's done millions and millions of dollars worth, thousands of units across the country. We did have Jonathan Flugstead from Reno and Kavanaugh, our special development councils that advised that group. We had Harold Fitzpatrick from Fitzpatrick and Waterman Attorneys. We had Lisa Petrosky from N&W Financial. If you remember, Lisa guided us through our RAD conversion over at Fox Hill, and she was an advisor to that group. And last, and certainly not least, because this is crucial, we had Ellis Wilson Henry that attended those meetings, and he is a highly placed HUD official that reports directly to HUD Washington. And he's also done thousands of units of redevelopment in the past, and I think if you take that group as a whole, and by the way, Ellis said this too, he's rarely seen a process that was as deep and as well organized and together as the process that happened here, because they turned over rocks. Now, this board, I think, should be commended to go in this direction, because that selection committee did what it was assigned to do. It had that series of meetings, investigated the background and financial capability and expertise of each proposer. They did a great job, and their job is now complete. They did their job. As you asked, as a board, to make a recommendation, you assign them to do that work, rather than you sit here and do every single little bit of that work, because it takes hours. Now that they have completed their task of thoroughly vetting those proposers, the task comes to the board to move the process forward. And I hope you'll understand their recommendation means quite a bit. What staff is asking tonight is your action to accept the committee's recommendation and approve a developer partner subject to a list of conditions. And if you read the resolution, it is subject to a list of conditions. What you're essentially approving is us to be able to go negotiate with this particular developer. If it doesn't work, if we can't meet our conditions, we walk. We come back to you. But that is where we are today. All of these conditions must be met and agreed upon between HHA and the developer in the form of a master redeveloper agreement acceptable to the city, because remember, we can't leave the city out of this equation. We do that hard work of negotiating and working out an agreement and a master development agreement with this potential developer. Must be in conformance with the city's redevelopment plan, then must have a final approval from this board. So you haven't seen the last of this. This doesn't move forward without your final approval, and then the approval of the city as part of the redevelopment plan that accepts what we've worked out with them. So I think I'm real proud of what this committee did and the vision that the board had to set up this process, and I will leave that where it is for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Director.
Madam Chair, I have questions for council and the director and Mr. Merchant.
You can ask all your questions of the director. It's up to the director should he allow Director Merchant to answer you, or
And I can ask questions of council directly?
don't see why that.
Council, can I ask you questions?
I would ask that, similar to what you were told last month, you direct it to the director, and then if he finds it necessary for us to answer, then we'll be happy to answer.
Council, how many years have I been on this housing authority board?
Is that a question?
How many
When it
times have I
pertains
asked
to
you
this-
questions directly? Quite a few over the years, right?
Commissioner Sanford?
Would you like me to
I
answer
asked that you.
No, I don't think so. I would like to comment that something's clearly changed, Commissioner. We used to do business together, and now it's antagonistic all the time. So that something has changed.
Something has definitely changed,
Without a
yes.
doubt, without a doubt. So ask
Absolutely.
me questions.
Do we have a question?
I'm thinking of the question.
Oh.
I would like to ask council the question, but I have to go through the developer, to the RECO, to get a question, to answer the question answered.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, but I thought when you said you had questions, you were prepared with your
I
question.
am prepared.
Okay, so could we please move on with the question?
Listen, you are under investigation. The director is covering up.
Can we call the vote? Can we please
I have
call the
questions.
I don't think you would.
Director Recco. Director Recco, at the last HHA board meeting, as part of this hearing that went on, it was brought to my attention that I was allegedly derelict in some of my duties. When I spoke to you at the October meeting, I brought to your attention and to the chair of this committee's attention, Mr. Merchant, that members of this selection committee had conflicts of interests. What investigation did you do based upon my warning to you?
I have done no investigation. I did not hear a warning. I heard a question that you asked of Commissioner Edwards if he was a developer, and he said no, and that was the end of that. I did not know this board instructed me to do an investigation. The board needs to instruct me if they want an investigation.
We didn't, but we did ask Commissioner Sanford to put it in writing, his concerns and the individuals that may have that conflict of interest, so that if anything needed to come of it, it would. Commissioner Sanford, I now ask you, were you able to do that? Send that email to the director?
I sent that email a couple
2 days ago? Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
when
2
I
days
found-
ago, but he has 14 days to respond to you. Thank you.
When I found out that this resolution was going to be on the agenda, I then acted. I then asked questions of the
But
executive
you were
director.
instructed 30 days ago when we were sitting in a meeting, and you had these very same concerns that you're speaking about, and you asked this very same question, and you brought up that there may be a conflict of interest, you were informed and instructed during that meeting that you should put that in writing immediately to the director with the information so that he can follow through and do any proper investigation should one need it to be done. Now you're sitting here acting as if you're the victim and the director didn't do his due diligence or his job when you just sent the email 24 to 48 hours ago.
That is correct. The director did not do his due diligence.
That's your
or his
opinion,
job.
but thank you so much.
In your email of Wednesday, day and a half ago, there was no mention, whatever. Don't try to say there was any mention of Commissioner Edwards. There was nothing that supported any type of allegation.
Conflict of interest.
Their conflict of interest. There's nothing there. It was just a sentence.
You are.
Was there any mention?
I didn't mention Director Edwards or Mr. Edwards. I mentioned that the members of this committee, that there are multiple conflicts of interests. I count 5 members of this 9-member committee that have conflicts of interest.
And again, we asked you to put it in writing so that the director can do his due diligence.
Then for the consideration of this board and for the director, I move that we table this resolution so that you can hear the evidence.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Do
Is there a
some due
second?
diligence.
There's not a second, it fails. Could we move forward,
Madam
George?
Chair, I'm trying to warn the board that there are problems with this selection committee and this recommendation.
I understand what you're trying to do, and believe me, we all get it. I think the 6 other commissioners here all understand what you're trying to do. But you're not doing it as you're asked. You want us to act immediately when you were asked 30 days ago to provide this information. So when this came up, we could have had the information in front of us. I personally, and I'm not speaking for anyone else on this board, am confident in every single individual that was on that board. And I respect their decision and their hard work and all the time and effort that they have put in to get to this place. So that's where I stand personally. I apologize if that's not where you stand. This is information. You're not asking for this board. You're asking for yourself. Let's make that very clear. You are not speaking for this board. And if I'm wrong, can someone else on this board please let me know?
No, he's definitely not speaking for me. Madam
Okay.
Chair.
Thank
Madam
you.
Chair, you are wrong. I specifically asked of Mr. Merchant and CFO Cavthera, I specifically mentioned conflicts of interest with the members of this board at the October meeting on the public record.
And you're not understanding.
Please, I let you finish, please let
think
me
you
finish.
understand what
I
I'm
then followed up with the director
2 days
in
ago.
writing, as best I could for these
You had 30
Byzantine
days. 2 days
rules that you
ago.
are trying to make me follow. But I did follow up in writing, and I have not
2 days
received
ago.
any answer.
2 days ago, for a director who is taking care of 1,325 units on a daily basis, and you expect him to remember every second that happens at this meeting?
I expect a response from the executive director.
And you will within 14 days. Thank you very much, because we move forward.
After the vote.
No,
After the vote.
well that, look,
Where the information
you
is
have a choice, Commissioner
You have a
Sanford.
choice.
No one is taking your vote away. You have the right to vote for or against the resolution. So at this point, if you have no further questions, I move for us to call the
You
vote.
have a choice to follow the law. You have a choice to follow the
Thank you,
procurement process. You have a choice
Director.
to
Can we
follow
please
the
call the
federal
vote?
guidelines.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I still have questions for the director.
Mr. Chairman?
This is
I
insane.
will call the vote.
You're right, it is.
There are
Way
multiple
back to
conflicts of
Edwards.
interest with this process. This
Director?
process, the procurement process is not being followed. This foundation that you're laying is broken, it is cracked, it is tainted.
Director?
This redevelopment process is
I'm
broken.
calling the vote, and I would just like to say, I
I wish you had this passion throughout every month that you serve on this board. Every day, not just once a month.
Madam Chair, I'm trying to protect the
Director,
residents.
call the vote, please.
I'm trying to protect the
Okay, I
residents
did-
from your lack of due diligence.
Damn.
Madam Chair,
I strongly
I
disagree.
direct my
Dave
comments.
Edwards,
Yes.
want to vote again?
Yes.
Anthony Forbes,
I still have questions. I still have
Barbara
questions. You're
Yes.
preventing this commissioner
Gene
from
Rodriguez.
asking
Yes.
questions. You're preventing this
Michael
commissioner
Russo.
from asking questions.
James
You are
Sanford,
preventing this commissioner from asking questions. No, this is a completely
No, okay.
worthless
Aye,
process.
yes.
Erica Seitzman.
You-
Aye.
you-
Nice.
This is
Okay.
broken. This is a
Resolution
travesty.
number 2024-1103, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to make a contingent
No.
designation.
Next
Sorry.
resolution, 1104. That's all right.
Resolution number 2024-1104, resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken approving the write-off of tenants' accounts receivable
Motion.
balances.
Second.
Vote. David Edwards,
Yes.
Anthony Forbes,
Yes.
Barbara Reyes.
Yes.
Gene Rodriguez.
Yes.
Michael Russo.
Aye.
James Sanford.
No.
Erica Seitzman.
Yes.
Resolution number 2024-1105, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to award a contract for special legal services repositioning of public housing.
Motion.
Second.
Questions? Director Cole?
Yes, I have questions. So where is the agreement, the contract for the special legal services? That's not with the resolution.
Right, we do the contract after the board resolves to enter into a contract. You do the resolution, and then the administration does the contract.
No, I would like to see the draft of the contract for the special legal services, and I would also like to see the bid evaluation forms for these vendors. Or can I talk to Emil about it?
No, I would like you to put that in writing to me.
14 days.
Yeah, you keep joking about that. I mean,
You're making a joke.
You put the 14-day process in place to
Thank you,
prevent
thank
the
you,
board
Commissioner,
and the
appreciate it.
commissioners
Call the director.
from doing their job.
Director Cole?
You're actually derelict in your duty here because you're not asking questions and you're
We
not
asked plenty of
getting your
questions.
answers.
Commissioner Sanford, may I remind you that every commissioner on this board is on committees and actually works diligently and gets all the information that they're needed and know all the information because they're on committees. If you chose to work with us, you would also have that information.
Madam Chair, may I
Continue, call
remind
the
you that you
vote.
broke the law?
Call the vote,
And
Director.
that
Thank
you're
you.
allegedly under investigation, and that you should be
Thank
giving
you, Director.
should be
Thank
giving the
you.
gavel.
David Edwards. Yes. Anthony Forbes.
You operated a cottage industry
Barbara
out
Reyes.
of your apartment. This
Yes.
this is special
Yes.
treatment that you're receiving from the executive director.
Yes. Yes.
He's not giving you. He is not investigating this matter at all.
They did that already.
I'm so sorry that you didn't listen to
James
me.
Sanford.
No.
Erica Sykes.
Yes, yes.
Resolution number 2024-1106, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to award a contract for auto and truck towing services.
Motion.
Second.
Questions?
Excuse me, that's number 7.
I'm so sorry that you guys are confused, but in my book, it's 6.
Okay, I just have it.
So I think it's, yeah, it's a little different on the actual
These gems,
agenda.
I think, might
I'm just
have
making
it.
sure the record.
Yeah. My apologies. Question?
Madam Chair, I have questions. Why is there only one vendor?
Because that's the only vendor that put in for this.
Then I would make a motion to reject this bid.
Motion on the floor? Is there a
So that
second?
we can get the best possible pricing.
Is there a second? Motion fails. Director, call the vote.
David Edwards.
Yes.
Anthony Forbes.
Yes.
Barbara Reyes.
Yes.
Jean Rodriguez.
Yes.
Michael Russo. Aye. James Sanford.
No.
Erica Sykes.
Yes, yes.
Before we move on, Director, I just want to thank Commissioner Edwards for working so hard on this actual resolution about the towing. This actually was supposed to be on last month, and we kind of postponed it to this month because he did do his due diligence, ask questions, and ask for certain information before we brought it to the board. So thank you,
That's
Commissioner
wonderful,
Edwards.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Resolution number 2024-1107, a
Wonderful
resolution.
due diligence that Commissioner Edwards did on
Resolution
single
number,
vendor.
if you were part of committee, you would have. Resolution number 2024-1107, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to award a contract for bathtub replacements.
Second.
Questions,
Yes, I have
concerns?
questions for the CFO.
For tubs?
Yes.
Madam Chair, just quickly, I think that we had two sevens, right?
So the written agenda does not line up with the resolutions as numbered in your book.
Yeah.
Because of, one, the way we started, and two, the way the actual resolutions are numbered.
Okay.
I would stick with the resolutions as they are numbered,
In
as
the-
opposed
sorry,
to
in
the
the book.
list
The
on the
agenda.
agenda.
In the book.
They all are the same resolutions, I've already verified that, it's just they're in a slightly
I
different.
just wanted to make sure.
So it's okay what I did?
Yes, I would
Okay.
proceed as you introduced it.
Okay. Commissioner?
Yes, I'd like to ask questions of CFO Cafera. I'd just like to know why there is such a large difference between the two bids.
Well, I think, and I'll answer that, because the answer is when you're bidding a project like this, some contractors want to bid very high because they think they might get the job, and they would make quite a bit of money on the job. I can't say what Blackstone did, but his numbers came very close to our estimates. The Magic Touch numbers came very close to our estimate. We were confident that that was a fair price for that work. Because of that, we did not go back to Blackstone and ask for their workup sheets on how they actually took off on this work and what they thought. We are confident that the actual contractor can do the work for this price and move forward.
Thank you. Call Walker?
David Edwards.
Yes.
Anthony Forbes.
Yes.
Barbara Reyes.
Yes.
Jean Rodriguez.
Yes.
Michael Russo. Aye. James Sanford.
No.
Erica Sykes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Resolution number 2024-1108, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to award a contract for maintenance and service of fire protection systems.
Motion.
Second.
Questions?
May I ask Commissioner Edwards a question?
Absolutely.
Commissioner Edwards, did you do any due diligence on this?
No, because this is not, this is not part of the Professional Procurement Committee's responsibility.
Thank you.
Then Director, why is there only one vendor being presented?
I'm sorry, why is there only one?
Why is there only one vendor being presented?
Because as much as we canvassed, called, advertised, one person put in a bid.
Thank you, Director.
And what due diligence did you do on this vendor?
We advertised, we called to anyone that we knew that gave this service for fire protection systems. This company has worked with us in the past, they know us well, and everything worked out well.
And did this vendor have to go through a process of providing a disclosure of political contributions?
Yes, they would have.
And were there any conflicts?
None that I know of. Emil, would you want to comment on that? Do you know, Emil, off the top of your head?
No, I don't believe so.
And how do you know that?
If I could, Director, can I chime in on something?
Please, sir.
The purpose of the political contribution form is not for the housing authority itself to determine whether there's a conflict. So it's not even an appropriate question. It's for the bidder to disclose any political contributions. The nature of those contributions at that point is up to ELEC, it's up to the city. It's just so it's disclosed for information purposes for the authority. It is not the authority's responsibility to determine whether there's a conflict with a bidder.
Thank you.
The bidder in their proposal says that they didn't collude with anyone and other information like that. That's not a determination that the housing authority makes on bids.
You're saying the authority doesn't have a responsibility to find out if there's a conflict of interest?
No, I'm not.
That's what I
The
heard.
bidder does a non-collusion form, right?
Right, that's not the purpose of the political contribution disclosure.
What is the purpose of the political contribution?
It is for information purposes for the authority.
Information purposes to what end? Why request this information if it has no purpose?
If it has no purpose, we can remove it? Can we
No.
remove it?
No, it's a requirement.
Okay, it's a requirement, so it's a requirement for a very good reason, presumably. Why is it required? Who requires it?
You're asking about whether there's that's not a determination for the authority to make.
I'm moving on. I've moved on to different questions. Why is it a requirement? Who is it required?
State.
It's a state requirement.
Why is the state required?
Ask the state.
I'm asking counsel who's supposed to be well-versed in New Jersey state law.
Ask the legislature.
This is Harold Fitzpatrick. If I can please interrupt the commissioner with the permission of the chair.
Harold to the rest.
The commissioner keeps asking the same question different ways. The answer is that the law requires that political contributions be reported. If one were to be made and not reported, and ELEC were to determine that, that would be for ELEC, a state commission, to determine. You've already gotten the answer from my co-counsel. There is no looking behind the document to determine, quote, a conflict, unquote, that we may imagine. The document is for information purposes only. That's what the law requires. That's what your procurement purposes. The fact of the matter is that you want to elevate it to something more, to create a concept of conflict in your mind that is not an appropriate inquiry and is probably a violation of the federal and New Jersey constitutional right of an individual or entity to make a political contribution.
Thank you so much.
That is an
Thank you,
incredible
Counsel.
statement, Counsel.
Okay, do we have any further questions?
I have a question about what Counsel just said. So,
Did you not hear what he said?
I heard what he said, and now I have a question based upon what he said.
Can you ask the question, and can I please ask the public to refrain from comments. Thank you so much.
When you think of it, let me know what it is, and you can tell me where you learned that in law school.
Counsel, calm down.
Wow.
Please help me to understand.
I don't think there is any help for you.
Please help me.
I'm not sure I'll be able to do that, Commissioner.
Counsel, please help me to understand what the definition of bribery is.
Oh, now we're being stupid again. I'm not going to tolerate this. Other people may tolerate asking how many days are to be counted or how long you've been on the board. I believe there was an interruption, so I don't know if you would count that. But the fact of the matter is, you go look up bribery if you want to determine that there's some issue. But a political contribution is not bribery. You might look at the McDonald case at the Supreme Court with respect to that.
Political contributions
Thank you,
are not bribery?
Counsel.
Thank you.
They're not.
That's
That's what he
insane.
just said. Okay. Director, can we call the vote?
David Edwards. Yes. Anthony Forbes.
Yes.
Barbara Reyes.
Yes.
Jean Rodriguez.
Yes.
Michael Russo. Aye. James Sanford.
No.
Erica Seitzman.
Yes, yes.
Resolution number 2024-1109, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to award a contract for water heater replacement.
Motion.
Second.
Director Recco,
Oh, God.
whether yourself or Commissioner Edwards, who did the due diligence on this resolution?
We accepted the bids and the attorney wrote up the actual resolution. The bids were found to be valid with all of the background information, and we brought it to the board.
Thank you.
Okay. And how, can you describe the process of this bid process for the three bidders, Affirmative Mechanical, Ranco Mechanical, and William J. Garini? Were there a fourth or a fifth or any other, or was it just these three?
No, just those three.
Just these three?
Yeah, we
So-
disclose all bidders. So.
Okay, and so please, for the public and for myself, describe this bid process.
So we developed specifications for the actual work to be done, that needs to be done, because we were clear that at Fox Hill, one of the water heaters is in dire straits and could fail at any time. So it was time for us to do a new water heater. We wrote up the specifications, we put an ad in the paper, we advertised, and we got 3 responses to that invitation to bid. They were sealed bids, and they were opened, read aloud in public, and the Affirmative Mechanical Incorporated won that bid.
And was there anything wrong with the specifications provided by this housing authority? Because, and the reason I ask this question is because of the 3 bids, one is significantly higher than the other 2.
We don't believe there's any problem with those specifications.
Then can you explain, as part of your review of the 3 different bids, why the Garini bidder was so high?
No, because I do not do an investigation of that high bid.
I'm not asking for investigation.
Right, but I wouldn't waste my time. I wouldn't waste my time. I've got a bid price that I'm very happy with. It was within the range of we thought what this would cost. Matter of fact, the 2 lower bids were within our range. The 3rd bid came in high. We move on to the lower bids. We don't waste time turning the higher bid inside out. Why waste our time doing that? We've got a good responsive bidder.
I would like to ask some questions of Mr. Cavathera.
You can direct them at me. If we need them, we'll talk.
Okay. During this review, what due diligence did Mr. Cavathera perform on these 3 vendors?
Well, when the bids come in, Mr. Cavathera looks through the bid packages, sees if there's any obvious defects. He and I talk about what bidder is lowest. We then make a recommendation to the attorney's office to go through the bid package, make sure there's no defects in the bidding process, and once the attorneys are satisfied that it's a valid bid with no defects, we move forward to a resolution to the board.
And similar to APS Corporation, did these three vendors have to provide affidavits of non-collusion?
Yes.
And did these three vendors have to disclose their political contributions?
Yes.
From those disclosures, was any potential conflict found?
We don't look for that. I don't know of any conflict at all in these bids. They were good bids.
If I can answer this again, we're back to the same question that was asked a while ago by the commissioner. He's using the term conflict. That's not the purpose of the political contribution form. He's trying to misstate it once again, and I'm just not going to tolerate it. The fact of the matter is the form was submitted, political contributions to the extent any were made were reported, and that's the extent of confirming that the law has been followed. Anything more than that is not an appropriate question for the executive director.
Counsel and only counsel. Is a quid pro quo political
You
contribution?
didn't hear me when I told you to go look at the McDonald case. I'm not going to play with you, Commissioner. The fact of the matter is that that's not the test. We look at whether or not contributions were made. If you're aware of something else, just like other things you've been told to do, put it in writing and give us some information that we can act upon, not some sort of naked, gratuitous statement.
Harold, I have given you information in writing, and at times you have simply stopped communicating.
No, that's not true. You've never given me a penny with respect to any kind of political contribution, gratuitous information.
Okay,
the fact of the matter is that you're just making statements without support. If you want to say something, put it in writing.
Harold, I will put it in writing, and you're going to get exactly what you want.
Thank you, counsel.
Now, can you answer my question, counsel? This is a legal opinion. Is a quid pro quo?
No, I don't give you legal opinions. I give the board legal opinions.
Is this a
I give
courtroom now?
the authority legal
I'm
opinions.
sorry, Commissioner.
Ask the
Commissioner Sanford, you have acted like a prosecutor for the last 12 months that we have been here. So for you to ask that question is quite hilarious. Director, I ask that we please move on and call the vote.
David Edwards.
Yes.
Anthony Forbes.
Yes.
Barbara Reyes.
Yes.
Jean Rodriguez.
Yes.
Michael Russo.
Aye.
James Sanford.
No, this procurement is a
Erica
farce.
Seitzman.
Resolution?
Wait, yes.
Oh, sorry.
Erica Seitzman.
Yes.
Resolution number 2024-11.10, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to award a contract for fiscal audit services.
Motion.
Second.
Questions? Director
David
Porter?
Edwards.
Yes.
Anthony Forbes.
Yes.
Barbara Reyes.
Yes.
Jean Rodriguez.
Yes.
Michael Russo.
Aye.
James Sanford.
Abstain.
Erica Seitzman.
Yes.
Resolution number 2024-11.11, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to award a contract for fee accounting services.
Motion.
Second.
Questions?
Yes. What directions have been given to the accounting services, Bill Ketchen, in order to test for possible fraud?
I want to, Harold, could you comment on that question?
I can answer for you. It's not within his scope of services. He's not hired to conduct a fraud investigation. He's the fee accountant, which is required by HUD. He has specific tasks. They don't include hunting for fraud.
I thank you for the answer. That is the answer I'm looking for. You don't need to give me the attitude.
You've been given the answer numerous times at multiple meetings.
Counsel, if you could please just calm down for a second.
I'm extremely calm.
Who would be the vendor? Who would be the vendor that would provide the service?
Commissioner, would you stop giving orders to my co-counsel? The fact of the matter is you've made this meeting and so many other meetings a farce. And the fact that people are so upset with you is indicative of how farcical you've conducted yourself. So please, don't give us orders. We want you to perform like a commissioner and not some sort of person who is on some sort of vendetta that has no purpose in life other than his own satisfaction.
Counsel, you want me to act as
Commissioner,
a rubber
I'd
stamp.
happily answer your question.
Please.
Who would
No,
conduct,
I don't want you to act as a rubber stamp. I want you to act as a human being.
who would conduct a fraud investigation? some sort of investigative entity, when appointed by this board as a whole, if it had actual knowledge or at least some suspicion of fraud, which would require the person who has all this knowledge of fraud and wants to talk about it, putting it in writing.
Thank you.
Council,
Can we move forward?
Council, I have put that information in writing to you and your father.
It must have
Harold.
gotten lost in the mail, Commissioner, because we haven't received it.
Thank you so much. So if we could move forward.
Motion to suspend the agenda, motion to propose.
Could I have
motion
to
to propose.
state
Council, go ahead.
that statement is not true. And I'd be glad to see what the commissioner could provide to counter my statement that it's not true. Most of the commissioners are fully aware of the difference between what he says and what the reality is, and that's another example of it. We've never been informed of any detailed information that he's aware of that would ever be actionable. To the contrary, he's made statement after statement and then never supported it when he was asked to do so.
You've never asked me to do so.
Thank you.
Thank you, that's not true. I put it in writing.
Can we
I said it
please-
at meetings. You're just making it up again,
Council,
James.
you're making
Thank
things
you,
up.
thank you, thank you, Council
Oh, yeah.
Director. I ask that you please call the vote.
David
I
Edwards?
proposed a resolution.
No.
I proposed a
I'm sorry.
resolution to suspend the agenda. Point of order.
Commissioner, there's a vote that's ongoing.
Going.
You're interrupting a vote.
I can interrupt a vote.
You
That's
cannot.
fine.
You
Go
must
ahead.
wait until the vote is concluded.
Go
Then,
ahead. Learn the rules.
if the chair gives you the floor, you certainly can make whatever comment you'd like.
Perfect, let's go.
Yes.
David Edwards, let's start over. David Edwards.
This is 1111?
Yeah, this is.
Yes.
City Council.
Yes.
Anthony Forbes.
Yes.
Barbara Reyes.
Yes.
Jean Rodriguez.
Yes.
Michael Russo. Aye. James Sanford.
No.
Erica Seitzman.
Yes.
Okay. Resolution number
Madam Chair,
2020.
motion to propose a resolution to appoint a vendor to do investigative services to test for fraud at the Hoboken Housing.
Madam Chair, may I make a comment? Thank you, Madam Chair.
if I-
See, that's the way it works. You ask for the floor from the chair. She then chooses to give it to you or not. If she doesn't give it to you, you do not have the right to just make motions and say the things that you want to say. This is a professional board. There's a professional procedure. If you don't know that procedure, please look at our rules. Please look at Robert's Rules of Order. That is how we conduct ourselves. The way you conduct yourself is absolutely out of order. So that's the only comment that I want to make.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, please, by all means, move forward with the agenda.
Yes, I would just like to-
There's a motion on the floor.
Okay. There's a motion. Is there a second? There's no second. Motion fails. Could we move forward? Resolution number 2024-11.12, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to award a contract for risk management services.
Motion.
Second.
Question. Director, can you please explain the scope of the services provided for risk management services?
This in many ways is our broker for insurance services. They work with us hand in hand on insurance issues. They will go out and bid insurance policies for us so we can get the best deal out there. They also provide continuous training, safety training for our staff. They come and report to me on our risk losses, what losses we might have and what we might not have over the course of the months.
Thank you.
Director, will this risk management service, or of the risk management services that this vendor offers, are they able to conduct a test for fraud at the Hoboken Housing Authority?
Oh my God. I wouldn't believe so. They're a risk manager. They're not a fraud investigator.
So what tests, what processes do we have in place to safeguard the housing authority from fraud?
I would say that we have many policies, that we do checks, double checks. We have an awful lot that goes on in our office and our policies. We have two signatures on checks. We have a purchase order system. We track those systems. We track our inventory. We have all of that goes on. We do not make those kind of moves without board approval. There's just many, many, many instances of check and double check there. So that has nothing to do with risk management services. That's a completely different area. And I think that kind of goes back to what we're saying. If there is some indication that there's fraud in this organization, I would love for you to bring that evidence to the fore.
I have brought that evidence to you, Director, and I have brought that evidence to you in writing, along with counsel.
I would like to repeat Harold Fitzpatrick's comment, which is no, you have not. You've made allegations. You've said things. You make an allegation that our chair's under investigation. I don't know if she's under investigation. You can say that, but to my knowledge, it's not true. And to say that in public is just absurd.
Well, to my knowledge, you are conducting an investigation.
No, I'm not. I said that a number of...
Again, if we can recall, this was addressed months ago, and it was on the record, but unfortunately you may have missed
Director
it.
opened the door. He just said that he
If I may, Madam Chair,
was conducting, or had
the agenda item under consideration.
It's not even about this.
Is an insurance risk management contract.
I'm trying to mitigate risk. I'm trying to mitigate insurance claims against this housing authority.
Okay. Director, can we call the vote?
I just want to clarify one more time, Director. So you are saying to me that you have not received anything in writing from me regarding fraud or misconduct at this housing authority?
There has been no evidence that has been presented to me, none.
And counsel, you would reiterate the same thing?
I can't speak for everything the director has received. From my knowledge, there has been nothing actionable that has been provided.
Okay.
Thank you. Moving forward, could
Just
we
to
please call the
clarify,
vote?
because
Could we call the vote, Director? It has nothing to do with this resolution.
Harold, can you answer that question?
You've gotten the answer.
You've gotten the question from the council.
He got the question answered by my co-counsel, and he was very friendly to do that. The fact of the matter is that you keep asking questions, having them answered, don't like the answer, and ask them again. I'm sick of it. This has been going on for months. The concept of asked and answered ends up with lawyers who do it to judges being significantly sanctioned. You've got to stop that. You have your answer.
Counsel,
Thank
I don't
you.
have answers.
No, you don't have an answer that you want.
Thank you.
You don't have an answer that you want.
Director, I ask as chair of this board to please call the vote.
Why so emotional? Why are you getting upset?
It's ridiculous. The chair has asked for a vote on Resolution 2024-1112. David Edwards.
Yes.
Anthony Forbes.
Yes.
Barbara Reyes.
Yes.
Gene Rodriguez.
Yes.
Michael Russo.
Aye.
James Sanford. Erica Seitzman.
Yes.
Thank you. Before we close, I'd just like to say something on the record. This meeting, once again, has demonstrated that this commissioner who sat here for 2 hours questioning every single resolution that we have had tonight has no interest in helping the residents of the housing authority. Absolutely none. He has proved it time and time again. I, as a resident, and as chair of this board, am asking not only the residents that are here, but those that are listening on Facebook and wherever we are actually streaming this meeting, is to reach out to the appointing individual and raise your concerns, because at this point, I really do not know what else we can do to have a board that can effectively work together for the betterment of the residents of the housing authority. Thank you. Motion to close?
Madam Chair, I stay on the record.
All in favor? Thank you. Have a good night.